Hey everyone, it's Kothis, and it's time to cover the second Grandmaster Nightfall this season, the Lightblade. This is for sure the toughest Grandmaster in my opinion, although the Glassway is very tough as well. Either way, there are a few really good strategies that we can do here to make things a lot easier. Oh, and really quick, we just launched the community Discord, so make sure to join using the link in the description. I would love to help answer any questions you've got there, chat with you there, and hopefully run some stuff with you too. Well, with that out of the way, let's get right into the Lightblade. As with any Grandmaster strike, there are many ways to get this done, and the loadouts we were using are by no means the only ones you can use. Triple Arc Titan is a popular offensive strategy now, with the insane amount of storm grenade damage you can do to clear massive areas and do tons of damage to champions and bosses. But our strategy was a bit more balanced, and is a somewhat common Guardian composition to bring into this strike. Giant Disco, our first Guardian, was a Void Hunter running Aeons for on-command heavy ammo from finishing champions. You can absolutely swap to Omni Oculus though if you'd rather have the increased damage resistance when you're invisible. As for weapons, he used Arbalist for barrier champions, an Arc Pulse Rifle for unstoppables, and a Storm Chaser Linear Fusion for heavy damage output. You don't have to use Storm Chaser, that's just what he used. The Tether came in clutch for suppressing all the Lightbearer Guardians, and the invisibility helped greatly when a dangerous revive needed to happen. Our second Guardian, Bad, was running Stasis, mainly for the use of his Stasis turret. If you have them, make sure to use the Osmiomancy gloves to get 2 stasis turrets, giving you even more control. Bad used a scout rifle to cover barrier champions, a blinding grenade launcher to help subdue large groups of enemies, and we will also use it a bit later in the strike, and Galahorn for quick champion kills. I ran Arc Titan with Heart of Inmost Light and threw as many storm grenades as I could, which works wonders when paired with a touch of Thunder aspect. Seriously, the grenades are ridiculous. Thunder Crash made champion kills a bit easier too. As for my weapons, I used Arbalist to take care of the barriers, a Solar Pulse Rifle for unstoppable champions, and an Arc Rocket Launcher to pair with Bad's Galahorn for big damage. Alright, with the loadouts out of the way, let's get into the actual strike. The opening 2 areas are what I consider to be the toughest parts of the strike. It really is a rude awakening. To start, I threw a storm grenade right at the Lightblade to get him to leave the area. When you do about 10% of his health, he leaves, and you really want to avoid his ranged arc attacks. They will completely wreck you. Once the Lightblade leaves the area, deal with the 2 barrier champions. Unload your storm grenades and heavy on them, and hang back to safely clear the area. And if you want to risk it, kind of like my team did, the Hunter can actually go invisible and skip to the next section, despawning all of the enemies, which is pretty awesome. And it still counts for all the champion kills. The next room is very tough. It's super claustrophobic and enemies spawn everywhere. You want to immediately take out the 2 wizards at the entryway, then move to the left to clear out both barrier champions. A Lightbearer Guardian will be hanging out, and we're going to deal with him immediately after this. The Lightbearer Guardians suck in this strike. They will one-shot you with every single ability of theirs. They are seriously ruthless. So make sure to deal with a Lightbearer immediately after taking out the barrier champions. This all has to be done very quickly. Another Lightbearer will spawn at the entrance of the room the moment the first Lightbearer is killed. So the goal here is to kill the first Lightbearer, then immediately retreat back towards the first area and nuke the Lightbearer from a safe distance, or you can of course use supers or anything like that if you have a good shot. After this, you will have another round of Thrall spawn in along with 2 giant knights, so make sure to hang back and deal with them safely. Moving to the next area with the boat. You will be greeted with 2 barrier champions and just a few enemies. Everything in this room is pretty easy to clear as there's quite a bit of cover and the area is pretty open. Once everything is killed, hop on the boat and make sure you take care of all the enemies on the sides. Usually a grenade does the work. Once you make it to the barricade, take the stairs up and do your best to nuke the Lightbearers on each side. You can also take this shortcut up the waterfall if you want to do that as well, up to you. And just a reminder that the Lucent Knights are extremely dangerous, so utilize the stairs as cover when you need to. Those projectiles he shoots off when he supers really just kill you instantly, and they'll bounce off every wall possible. Once everything is cleared, dunk the orbs and get ready for a nice, safe path through the remainder of this boat section. All you need to do is hop off to the left and kill enemies from a distance, prioritizing the Shriekers above everything else, since they will wreck you. Keep plugging along, killing enemies from a distance, and utilize this side wall area to get to the next section. And eventually you will come to a portal at the end to take us to the next section. Hop through the portal and jump back on the boat. However, instead of being sitting ducks on the boat, hop up here in front of this doorway and make sure not to shoot any thrall until they actually jump on the boat. They'll completely ignore you, so you can safely kill the 3 or so waves of them. Literally throw one Titan Storm Grenade and that's it. This whole section is done. Now it's time for the Weight of Darkness section. This is actually not as hard as it would seem. I have seen some teams leave one Screeb alive to prevent the others from spawning, but the Warlock stasis turrets kept most of them from being a threat along with the grenades that we'd throw ourselves, so we didn't do that. Just move together as a team and you'll be totally fine. The biggest threat here is just taking care of the Lucent Moths. They will one-shot you, so make sure to shoot them from a distance as you're making your way through. Keep in mind that if one of you dies, it's okay. Make sure not to revive them because Screebs just have a way of finding you as you're reviving. So make your way all the way to the end and you can actually despawn all the enemies so you can safely get that revive. At the very end of this area, you will make your way to a cave which will contain one unstoppable champion along with a few enemies we need to take out. Just use your unstoppable pulse rifle to stun them from far away and take them out. The final area before the boss room has quite a bit going on, and thankfully we can just hang back and kind of watch it all happen. You've got Hive warring with the Scorn, Shriekers shooting everywhere, and the Lightblade trying to kill you too. It's best, like I said, to just hang back. Just like the first area, we want to get rid of the Lightblade first, so we can avoid his arc ranged attacks. Just take away about 10% of his HP and he will leave the area. Then stun the unstoppable champions and kill everything as best you can from far away, and really try to focus the Shriekers when they are vulnerable and start shooting. If you're running low on heavy ammo, don't be afraid to just use your primaries to tag team enemies. You will need heavy ammo for the boss room, so make sure you are prepared. Once the area is cleared, make your way to the boss room entrance. Drop down the hole and you make it to the boss room. Things get extremely chaotic here unless you know exactly when everything spawns in, so this is super important. Here's a quick graphic I made that you can have open on the side to reference all of the health trigger points you and your team needs to be aware of. Seriously, if you do not pay attention to this, you're gonna wipe. I'd also like to really thank the content creator above for his strategy here. We did use a lot of his ideas because it's just such a good strategy. The Hunter will essentially be playing an endless game of tag with the Lightblade by forcing the AI into jumping and following him instead of using the arc ranged attacks. All the Hunter has to do is jump on and off this mid platform and the boss will continuously chase the Hunter. This needs to happen as quickly as possible right when the boss spawns in. The other two Guardians need to, again, as quickly as possible, make their way to this area of the room and need to quickly deal with all of the Thrall that spawn in. You don't want the Hunter to get killed by a Thrall melee, since that would ruin the game of tag he's trying to play with the Lightblade. Once all of the Thrall are cleared, it will be just your team and the boss, so not too bad. The Hunter should be able to get a couple linear shots off while they are baiting the boss. The other two Guardians should be waiting here and should be using primary ammo to get the boss to his first trigger point of 80% HP. We actually found that if we used too much heavy damage like rockets or linear fusions, we'd actually attract the boss's aggro, which would ruin the Hunter's baiting loop. Slow and steady with primary ammo is what worked best for us. If you find a better way, go ahead and do that. That's just what worked for us. And this way you actually get to save your heavy ammo, so not too bad. At 80% health, what will happen is another wave of Thrall will spawn in, so throw your storm grenades, any grenades you've got, and kill them as quickly as possible so the Hunter can keep up that game of tag. Then continue to take the boss's HP down until it hits its next trigger point of 66%, or the first actual marker on his health. At 66%, the boss will become immune and will head to the middle area, where a Lightbearer Guardian and two huge arc-shielded knights will pop in. Throw everything you've got at the middle area, prioritizing the Lightbearer Hive Guardian. The Hunter should quickly tether the Guardian, and it should go down without too much issue as long as you are tag teaming it. If you can, I know it's easier said than done, make sure to leave one knight alive here, since once both are killed, the next round of champions and enemies will spawn, and the Lightblade will also be released from the middle area, so you'll just have so much going on. We again used Above's strategy by using the blinding grenade launcher to keep the knight immobilized and kind of had him follow us over to our original position so we were ready for the next round of barrier champions. Make sure the Hunter is ready to start baiting the boss again, and then you can kill the knight. Once the knight is killed, 2 barrier champions will immediately spawn in across from where you should be positioned, so quickly Gjallarhorn/Rocket, Grenade the first one, and Super the second one if you can. I unfortunately missed my Super right here, so I had to use some heavy ammo and grenade, so enjoy the complete whiff of my Super. But most of the enemies should be cleared out with the champion nukes, but make sure everything is dead before moving on. You want the room to always be as clear as possible whenever possible. Our next HP trigger point is at 50%, where 2 more barrier champions will spawn in. Before getting them to 50% though, everyone needs to rotate positions slightly. So if you're facing the Oryx statue, look right. That is where the hunter will start baiting the Lightblade. The other 2 guardians will be directly opposite the hunter, so just use my positioning here. When everyone is in position, start lowering his HP to 50% and get ready to nuke both champions that will spawn in along with the other enemies. The champions will spawn in right here, so they are pretty easy to deal with as long as you know exactly where they spawn. A couple rockets, grenades, and supers should again be more than enough to kill them quickly. Alright, we are almost there. 33% HP is our new target, or the second visible indicator on his health, where another Lightbearer Guardian will spawn along with 2 more Giant Knights. Same strat as last time. Nuke the Guardian first, and make sure to hold off on taking out that second Knight after you kill the first one. Kill all of the Thrall, and everyone should be back to their original positions from the very start of the fight, so again, just use my location here. Once everyone is in position, kill the second Knight, and this will actually release the Lightblade to where the hunter can start playing tag again for one last time. At this point, the final round of barriers will spawn in at the exact same place they did on the first round. Nuke them as quickly as you can along with the other enemies, and throw everything you've got at the boss. Continue to bait the boss as needed to keep his range attacks from happening. Just make sure you don't get too overconfident because this is still incredibly dangerous. So safely take him down, and that is it. As I've mentioned, this can get incredibly out of control if you don't manage the boss's health bar correctly and are not ready for all of the waves of champions and enemies and everything else that spawns in. This is for sure the toughest Grandmaster, so if you can do this, you can do all of them. I hope you all are able to clear the Lightblade this week and get yourself some god roll Mindbender's ambitions, although this is not the greatest gun, so don't farm for it. But either way, thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.